Welcome back to Tech Talks from Commercial Baking. I'm your host, Joni Spencer. In this episode, sponsored by Coperion, I am speaking with two representatives from Coperion brands, Aaron Irvin, Sales Director for Chic Esteve, and Andrew Entrikin, Global Sales Director for Schaefer Peerless. And we are going to be discussing how to navigate a system integration. Aaron, Andrew, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us, Joni.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So, system integration is something that for any baker is really complex. Both of your brands are part of Coperion, which has several brands in it, and it comes with a lot of benefits, but it can even come with more complexities. So I'm really interested to gain some insight from you both on how to navigate this and make it a very smooth process. So when a baker is planning for a system integration, what are the first steps? And who really needs to be involved in those first conversations?
Well, I would say, most of the time, first steps in planning for the integration typically are going to involve starting with a needs assessment. So you want to understand what the bakery wants to achieve with the integration. Is it increasing efficiency? Is it reducing cost? Improving production quality, etc. This is where you take the time to analyze the bakery's current systems, what their workflows are, what their pain points are. You should define goals and objectives based on their needs and assessments, kind of get a clear goal or scope of work. You're going to take those key stakeholders and introduce them to the opportunity and try to get everybody involved that you can in the bakery operations, your IT, your project management, vendors like Coperion and our brands, other processes or ingredient suppliers. Involve your consultants or engineers if required, and then, what is the current equipment? What is the software? What is the layout or limitations that they've got? Just kind of knowing what's compatible and what needs replaced or upgraded. Those are all typical things you're going to look at when you start the process.
So, Andrew, I want to take it a step further with you and talk about the mindset. By that, I mean, where does the baker's sort of head need to be when thinking about the physical space relative to the equipment? Because space is finite in a bakery. So, what are some of those things that the baker really needs to put themselves in that space? What's that mindset like?
So the desired throughput is really what's going to determine the size of the equipment and then the space. Once we work with the customer and we establish that throughput, we can start to spec equipment, talk about control packages, we'll talk about what they look to do with regard to controls based on their needs. So it's really up to them. We can do pretty much anything that the market's doing currently at Coperion. We really just need to have those conversations, but really it varies from customer to customer. And we really like to leverage our collective expertise from our brands to provide comprehensive solutions that not only address what their current requirements are, but also we can ensure scalability for the long term.
Aaron, you represent sort of the ingredient automation side of things. And Andrew, you represent the mixing portion. And one thing that's great about Coperion is that you represent several technologies beyond just these two types of equipment. What are the most important things that a baker needs to keep top of mind if they're integrating multiple pieces of equipment or they're integrating a piece of equipment that is going to be working with a different brand or even another company altogether? How do you help bakers know what they need to be aware of in those types of system integration?
When integrating equipment from multiple suppliers, the bakery is going to need to prioritize things. And, probably the number one thing is working together. At Coperion, our brands offer customers a single point of accountability. We try to work within our groups to make sure the customer can reach out to that lead participant. And when they're speaking to us, they know that we're going to make sure the entire team knows what's going on. This includes, just standardizing our communication and understanding what the project goals and timelines are, right? We try to make sure that with that vendor accountability, warranty conflicts, there's no finger pointing on issues. We're supporting with service, with support gaps, making sure scope and training and all of those items are covered within our group and it's consistent across the group.
When we talk about project coordination and scheduling, we like to leverage all the Coperion brands and their familiarity with each other to kind of avoid a lot of the things that end up happening when you do have large scale projects being executed. We have people that do this, as Aaron said, all day, every day. And when someone from one brand reaches out to someone else to talk about install or controls or anything else that would be, a timeline impact, these are people that have not just met for the first time or talk once every couple of years when we have a project together. These people speak together to each other all the time.
So, I like what you said, Andrew. This is a really small industry and we all really know each other. And so there's a lot of benefit to that. But when we think about like what are the key things that bakers need to keep top of mind, how do you kind of get them in the mindset that Aaron is going to be talking to you and you guys know where those gaps are, even though it's two different brands, y'all are on the same team?
Well, I think we definitely want to lean into, customer relationships. That's what, we've always prided ourselves on, keeping and maintaining those relationships with the industry and with our customers. And, if there's a strong relationship that is a part of this project or process, then we definitely want that relationship to take the lead on the project, and we'll adjust and backfill that with the appropriate team to support it.
When we're specifically talking about integration, what are the specific necessary components for good project management situation?
In any project, whether it's an integration or anything, a lot of the project management guidelines remain the same. You need clear planning and a schedule, right? Create detailed project plans and timelines and dependencies that ensure the installation stays on track, or if it isn't on track, then you can influence or change the outcome. Obviously, there's cross-functional collaboration that we've talked about, where making sure that you've got consistent communication between your teams and your stakeholders. You want to keep an eye on risk management. There's things where you need to identify the up front and monitor those regularly. Things like equipment delivery schedules or software compatibility, all kinds of things that are integral to the process. You also want to make sure you have a contingency plan in place. You never want to have to exercise contingency, but if you don't have it, you'll surely need it. And so staying ready with those plans is important. Change management, you just can't probably execute a project without change occurring. You got to be able to manage things as the bakery adapts to new systems. It's important to manage these transitions carefully. That includes all your training, all your support, and then managing scope changes, making sure that everyone understands when a change occurs and then how to navigate it together, whether it's about cost, schedule, whatever that may be. Can't overemphasize regular monitoring and reporting. This ensures the project is staying within budget and on its timeline. And that's just clearly about communication. And then also, when the project is finally over and successful, you want to make sure that your team's got a plan for after commissioning to ensure support for the customer, including troubleshooting or maintenance or parts or any other updates that might be needed down the road.
I think we've gone through just about everything that we possibly could to identify all the most important components of a system integration. So I'm just going to leave you guys with one question. Hopefully it's an easy one, but what's the best way for a baker to get in touch, to learn about all the Coperion brands capabilities and possibly get started on a system integration project?
Sure. So we have a Coperion website, which we welcome everybody to visit. We also have websites for all the individual brands under the Coperion name. So I encourage everyone to go to the websites. And then once you're there, it's really easy to reach out to our sales folks. They can provide personalized information and guidance on how we can work together on your bakery's next big system or individual piece of equipment.
Just want to add to what Andrew had to say, and there's opportunities. Obviously, we invite you to schedule a visit to our tech center or a consultation with any of our sales team, but also don't miss us at the industry events and expos. Coperion and its brands present at all the trade shows, and we share a common booth space, so we're easy to find, easy to pull the teams together for quick meetings at those events, and give you a chance to ask questions, get insights, or see product demos. So we welcome you to join us at any of those opportunities. So
Okay, well, I hope that counts for me too, because I'm looking forward to seeing Coperion booths at all the big shows this year.
Absolutely.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me about system integration projects and how all the Coperion brands are fitting together for these projects. This was really interesting, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks so much for having us.
appreciate it.